Let's talk a little bit about how you're monetizing uniquely. Again, you're doing this in a way that nobody else is. Maybe a few people I've heard doing a little bit of events, but you're the one person who's like crushing it, I think, with events. And then you also are doing the Monopoly board. So maybe just talk about how you think about monetizing, as you stated at the beginning, outside of just collecting ads.
Yeah, so I would break it down to you have two ways to monetize your newsletter. And the bucket one is traditional monetization, what I call traditional monetization. That's ads, that's sponsors, that's affiliate links. That's the pretty straightforward thing. There's a ton of flexibility in there. Like within Trad, I've done, a big banner at the top with four different logos and I signed them on for 1 or 2 months. There's, just this newsletter is sponsored by, there's an affiliate link that might go to Amazon where you're getting a little small cut. But it's an uphill battle. It's a lot of cold outreach.
Mm-hmm.
You need to really build a system that is optimized and ready to scale, and you need to be ready to launch more cadences to maximize what you can grow there. And I was like, that's just not what I do. I don't want to build that long, that sales optimized ad machine. I'm not here to sling ads. And so I basically started with a discount card. So it was 10 businesses. I call them crew cards. Usually I have one floating around. It's not here. Um, and the reason I started that wasn't for monetization at first. It was a way when I had small subscribers, I wasn't running meta ads. I wanted to ride the coattails of these other businesses. And I was like, well, if I put together a discount card, put a bunch of businesses on there with 10% one-off discounts, and I make these businesses look good, they're going to share me and I get to ride their coattails from a marketing
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. And that worked. And then the cards sold like wildfire. I let my community price them. I let them vote on if they wanted this thing. And then, I'm able to, you know, confidently go, all right, guys, I'm going to go build this thing because you asked for it. If you said no, we bring it out back and kill it. Um, so then it was the discount card. And I was like, shit, like a couple grand with like 1,000 subscribers. This is okay, like there's something here. At the same time, revenue pie, I was, making a couple $100 on every single ad with under 1,000 subscribers, and giving away ads all the time to optically look bigger and know that my subscribers are business owners. And then I was like, you know what? We're an online community. What if we actually meet up? We're all neighbors and strangers and friends. Anyone interested in a happy hour? The vote is through the roof. So I went to a local business, sat down with the GM Chuck. I'm like, dude, I have no idea if anyone's going to show up, but what do you think? So we decided we'll ticket it. I'll keep all the money from the tickets. It was $20 a pop. I think we did like 40 tickets, and I advertised it for 3 weeks leading up to it. It sold out. People were, banging down the door to come in, and we let them in. It was all fun. That was a massive success for them. I sold some shirts and discount cards and got the ticket money, and I think I made like $1,300. I had 1,000 subscribers maybe, and I was like, oh dang, okay, like
Yeah.
not only that, but how many new opportunities respond off of that. Partnered with local artists to do one-off, artwork. I've done my own artwork. I've sold. Um, I've done merch from these hats to, this is a sample that just arrived to shirts. But yeah, I'd say like the whole time was, a screw around and find out mentality. I have no issue failing. I have no issue falling on my face. It doesn't feel good, but when you're kind of gentle with yourself and your community and going, hey, what do you guys think about this? Should we try this? It removes a lot of the pressure on yourself, and you don't feel like you're kind of as salesy. And so I was in Taos, New Mexico with my girlfriend fly fishing, and we were in this Airbnb and they had a Taos Monopoly board. I was like, this thing's cool. But then I opened it up and it was businesses everywhere and it was complete garbage. And I was like, man, I could do this better. And so I brought it to my community. What does everyone think about like a very outdoor, nature focused, evergreen version of a Monopoly board rooted in the Catskills? Reservoirs, rivers, towns, mountaintops, all the things. And it was voted through the roof. And so I went out and I built it. And, it sold out in 15 days, 16 days. And the new ones just finished and are going to port right now. But I used that, there's magic there because what I actually did was I created a diversified revenue stream.
Mhm.
I opened up wholesale accounts strictly through my subscribers. your subscribers are business owners. So now I am selling not just D2C, but B2B. Those units would move, they had the highest sales velocity of any product any business has carried in the area. That blew me away. But it was labeled Catskillopoly, not Catskill Crew. On the back said,
Mhm.
discover more at catskillcrew.com. So people were buying these. They weren't subscribers. They're taking my brand, just like the discount card, and I'm going inbox to wallet. This was inbox to home. And people were spending time with this brand. They saw the quality, they subscribed. And now when I sell something else, they'll be like, all right, this guy actually cares. He's
Mhm.
not selling crap. And so I brought it back to my community. I said, what do you guys think of a puzzle? And so I just got samples for a Catskill Crew puzzle. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like I designed it badly. It is just
Mhm.
black.
Yeah.
People are going to need a suicide hotline. But I've now launched an entire products company off of a newsletter. And now whoever you are, there's opportunities here, whether that's a services business you want to launch and use your newsletter as a promotion vehicle for that. It could be a CPG brand. I just have been working with a co-manufacturer on a snack line, which I think I'm going to hit pause on because it's the margins aren't there. But the model works. You have a newsletter, you can monetize it in dozens, hundreds, thousands of ways.
Totally. And just to be clear, like putting this Monopoly board together took you like a couple hours, right? Was that?
No, it took a long time.
I know. I'm just
It
kidding. I
was
know.
okay. I was
I
like,
remember you talking in the
I
Discord about
wish.
how much effort it was.
It was an insane amount of effort. But like,
Yeah.
look, there's some people who could go out on, buy a template, throw something together really quick.
But then it wouldn't
It
be good.
wouldn't reflect
Yeah.
positively on the brand.
Yeah. No.
So it took a long time. Sourcing the manufacturer is fairly straightforward. It's just like, how do you create something that is on brand to your market? I had a
Mhm.
lot of businesses reach out wanting to buy spots. I had to turn down probably $10,000 from local businesses and pay out of pocket. But I felt confident enough. I
Mhm.
didn't want to take the money from my subscribers because the last thing I wanted was 500 Monopoly boards rolling up to my door. I got, 500 subscribers asking where their boards are, and I open up the box and it's garbage, right? So
Mhm.
how I de-risked it and validated it was I just said, "Hey, look, there's a pre-sale wait list. If you sign up, you will get early access 24 hours before anyone else." And there was like 750 people that joined, and I was like, I'll move these at some point
Mhm.
eventually. I didn't expect to be living out of the post office. We broke a record at the local post office
Wow.
uh for volume, sales volume, and like that's cool. You have this, your impact on the local economy is tremendous, as a newsletter operator, and that's something really special in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it just boils down to everything you're doing. All the stuff we've talked about is short term versus long term, right? Like short term, you probably would have made more money filling, having, Boardwalk be some local business. That would have made
Yeah.
you more money in the short term, but that would have hurt your business and your ability to make legit money in the long term. And that's just true of a lot of things in life, right? And you're just proving it that having long term mentality pays off much better over the long term. Um,
And think about it, right? Like, okay, like TJ's Auto Parts sponsors my newsletter, sponsors, Boardwalk, and it's like, you go out of business. Now, what am I going to
exactly.
do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I have to redesign my entire
Yeah.
Monopoly board. Like, and no one cares
No
about
one
an
cares
auto
about the
shop.
auto. That's right. People. That's it.
So
Exactly. Exactly. So you
it's
would have made
evergreen.
money, but it wouldn't have been. Nobody would have wanted it.
Correct.
And yeah. So I just think that's a good lesson for a lot of things. Right.
Play the long game.
Exactly. And especially in this model. Right. I mean, I think playing the short term game. I'm sure maybe there's ways to make that work here, but this is what I tell everybody. If you just thinking you're going to make money quickly and it's just going to work real great, whatever, like this is not a good business model for that. I just don't think it is. Um,
I agree with you a
yeah,
100%. And I
yeah,
think once you have the foundation too, like, then the sky's the limit. Once you understand your voice, your brand, what you
hmm,
stand for, there's nothing wrong with screwing around, trying ideas. I do it all the time. There's things that I've done that I'm like, I would never do that again.
hmm.
Great. You've learned, you've
You learned, yeah,
adjusted
exactly,
course. But now, like, I have this model and I'm still pushing myself to see what else I could build from it, what else
Hmm.
I can create. We're looking at acquiring commercial real estate right now. We just got one
Hmm.
building. I'm more excited about the other one, but we're going to own, the prop co and the op co. And it's like, great, I could funnel business there now. I could
Hmm.
be using ad space in the bulletin to drive traffic there. We'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. You're gonna fail. Things
Yeah.
aren't gonna work. You're gonna work with a sponsor, and you're like, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I didn't make enough money. They were a headache, and it
Hmm.
looks terrible. Like, all right, I'm never gonna do that again. I've sent out emails as like, I remember when the discount cards, I was trying to move a bunch of them. I sent out an email that was like, alert, running low supply discount cards. And I was like, I got a ton of unsubscribes, and I don't blame people. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
never going to do that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Test.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, you gotta learn from doing. I mean, yes, it's good to read books and hear from people like us and try to learn from that, but sometimes you just gotta learn by trying. I still remember I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was for Jeff Bezos when he was being asked about the Amazon phone. Remember that from like 2013 or 14, and he had no
Uh,
regrets. It was a garbage and it was embarrassing and everything. He's like, I don't care. Like we take shots on goal. Like this is what we do. We try things and we learn, and I think that's the right mentality. Now you want to be as smart as you can about it, but it was a reasonable try, a reasonable bet at that time for them to try it, and it didn't work.
And and you could de-risk, right? Like bring that kind of lesson back to newsletter operators. You could de-risk and validate. You can take your best
Yep,
educated guess.
that's
And I
right.
think for me, the way I do it to remove as much pressure as I can, because I take everything extremely seriously, is like, hey guys, I don't know, what does everyone think about this? And I mean it. I'm
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
I'm only going to do it if you guys as my
yeah,
subscribers are interested. If
yeah,
you're not, then like what's the point? Why am I going to launch a, XYZ product if I don't think anyone's going to want it? I'm going to
yeah,
waste a ton of time, money, headaches.
yeah.
And so I really try to bring everything back to my community and let them drive it. And it's the secret sauce. Every company wishes they could do that and
Hmm.
lean into it.
Yeah, totally. I agree totally. So, all right, tell me about you just I think officially launched something, and I want to learn about it because I actually don't know. I truly need to learn because I both of us are here talking why we're doing this because we see so much value in this space for so many reasons. So you launched newsletter ventures, is that right? Newsletter ventures.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me, give me the overview, and then let's get into the weeds a little bit because I need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so the way I see it is it's kind of like the visuals I use is stars and constellations, all these individual pieces coming together to make something much larger. And so under Newsletter Ventures, we have a lot of moving parts. We have an agency focused purely on monetization. We don't touch content, we don't touch growth. We work with, really selective with clients we work with. They're outside of local newsletters. Um, to everything. And what we do is we reverse engineer the operator, the content, the audience, the market to figure out thoughtful ways and authentic ways to monetize your newsletter that, again, kind of revenue pie. So what are strategic sponsorship opportunities? What kind of products can you launch? What is a good premium model? And using the same ethos I use for Catskill Crew, which is community driven. How do we de-risk? How do we validate? And how do we distribute those things? And, our goal is to make sure that you make money because it is insane. Content creation is super easy and straightforward. Growth is super easy and straightforward. It's work, but it's
Yeah.
straightforward. Monetization is go on Deuce, go on any marketplace. You have newsletters out there with 100,000 subscribers that are doing, $100 a month in monetization. It's like that's where things get tricky, and that's where I have the most fun. And I like to approach these newsletters. Joe, my partner.
Hmm.
We're approaching these things as foundations for business. These are newsletter centric business models. And it's like, what can we build off of this? So we're bringing on clients right now and we're getting them off, minimal revenue markers to really building substantial businesses, six, and our goal is seven-figure businesses. And so that's really from the agency standpoint, highly selective. There's a retainer in time. What we want to do is be able to have rev share and shared upside into that. We're launching a micro fund. So what we want to be able to do is invest in the businesses and the operators we really love and enjoy and have confidence in and be kind of in the trenches with them getting our hands dirty to make sure that they're having success. There's the communities. So TNC, the newsletter club, is now wrapped into Newsletter Ventures. This is about bringing together community, again, kind of compound learning and gaining more insights collectively, which leads me to collectives. So these are thematic groups. So where the newsletter club is anyone can join, a collective is way more selective. So we're going to take kind of more, you can imagine sports, local, science. We'll hand select some operators in that space and kind of turbocharge their business with access to advertisers, sponsors, resources for manufacturing, just expertise and likely a community element to actually physically bring people together. And then, so that's, and then tooling. So, working with a bunch of developers right now to think through monetization focused tooling to help folks, just continue to bring revenue in meaningful ways. And so the tooling side of things is just like anything, it could take many forms. We might invest directly into this ourselves. We might team up with existing developers to build in-house. But the whole goal here is to support operators to make more money and to build meaningful businesses.
Cool. So to be clear, though, is everything related to all four of those? Is that for local newsletters like what we're doing, or is this just for newsletter, like any newsletter business?
These are for any newsletters.
Any, okay.
What I've discovered is, the monetization challenges, they are agnostic of what type of newsletter you're creating. And so, we got folks who have 50,000 subscribers that we're talking to that are in the sciences world, and they're
Mm,
pretty much making $1,100 a month. And it's like, that's insane to me. I was making $1,200 a month when I had 1,000 subscribers in the middle of the woods. So,
mhm.
while these are different markets, different audiences, different content, the strategies are still the same. It's approaching these things with an entrepreneurial hat, creating meaningful opportunities for these businesses that aren't abrasive to their subscribers.
Interesting. So, okay. And I know what you mean. This, I was at the newsletter conference a couple weeks ago, and the, monetization can be difficult for any of these newsletters, and so that makes a lot of sense because I know Joe is, really smart guy about advertising and marketing just in general, right? For media companies.
Yeah, I mean, I was moving forward with the agency, specifically focused on creative monetization, and then he and I got talking, and it's like, wait, no, no, we should really be looking at this and approaching monetization holistically. So, the two of us are working together from two different angles to attack the castle of like, how do we use creative monetization to build products, to build services, to to create more off of this newsletter? And that could be premium content as well. And then how do we actually have a traditional model that's supportive of that? And so ideally what happens is you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning and you got 20 different kind of revenue sources hitting you every single day. It feels good. You sleep easy when you have diversified revenue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would love some diversified revenue. Um, so yeah, real quick on the collective side, because is what you're doing there. Um, the way I think about what with the local newsletters, right? Which is, hey, you got 5,000, maybe 10,000 in your area, and yeah, that's really good for potential local businesses in that area. But what if there were 20 different local newsletter operators that each had 10,000? If they were all willing to work together, now you have an audience of 200,000. And is that more interesting to bigger businesses and whatnot? I mean, is that what we're talking about?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So not
Okay.
just like the connections that these serious operators are going to make with one another and more learning, but it's also the ability to go to these advertisers and go, hey, look, we have this network of independently owned and operated media companies, focused on local. You can advertise with all of them. And it's not just like, one has 10,000 and the other one has 200. It's like, no, these are all serious, high
Mhm.
quality,
Mhm.
operators who have a voice that is solidified. They've hit a certain stage where it's like, no, they are validated within their markets. And these are great opportunities for advertisers because again, still so many of them are going for, it's the same thing you've seen with the creator economy. They were going for influencers who had the largest following, and now they're starting to realize, wait, it's not a quantity, it is quality
Quality.
measurement.
Yep.
And
Quality.
so they are going to come back to finding these independent voices that are authentic to their market that they can leverage to spread word. And so what we want to do is support the facilitation of, both parties, and to help everyone monetize at the end of the day. This is Newsletter Ventures is all about community and monetization.
Yeah,
Very much for, agnostic business models. It's all about just, you have this newsletter, the content's easy, the growth is simple. Now, what are you going to do? And that's what we want to come in and really kind of be in the trenches with you, getting dirty and thinking creatively.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I want to be involved, that's for sure. But tell me, tell me about the fund though. What are your thoughts on the fund investing? What types of newsletters? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so the fund is obviously kind of the last piece of this. There's already a couple checks that want to be written. We're in no rush. We don't need to deploy checks anytime soon. What we want to do is, bring someone into the agency, really get to know them, work with them for a couple months, let them see that we could drive value for them. Let us make sure we could all work well together so everyone is confident, and then we could do a capital injection into them and have some shared upside and everyone could win together. And so, it's again, it's a case by case basis.
Hmm.
Um, there might be a local newsletter we invest in. There might be, it could be anything. We have to see the opportunity. We got to really kind of jive with the founders and operators there. But yeah, that's the goal. Really build kind of a portfolio of great newsletter businesses that, we can have a real impact on.
Yeah, very interesting. Um, tell me, there's been a, so, I don't know if you read them yet. I think I read one of them. I haven't read all of them yet, but there's some of the bigger players in the space have written about, risk to the model of just newsletters in general because of whether AI technology, how Gmail and Google, all these types of things. Have you, first of all, did you read any of those? Adam Ryan wrote one, who's the guy, he works at Work Week, which is a B2B newsletter. And then I think Matt McGarry wrote kind of a response to it, where he sort of agreed, sort of disagreed. Did you read those, or do you have any thoughts? I guess just in general.
I didn't read them. However, I would probably fall into the agree disagree. I think both things can be true
Totally.
simultaneously. I think AI is coming for this space. Naturally, it's an inevitability. I think the barriers to entry are so low, as we talked about. So anyone can spin something up. It's going to come down to kind of finding that sweet spot. Who's serious? Who's unique? Who's running their business from a true operator business model standpoint from an entrepreneurial experience, because creators are great, you could create content, but how are you going to monetize?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to create a business off the back of just like Beehive's ad network. It's great, it's fantastic to get you off zero monetization, but if you want to make 6 7 figures, you need to get creative. You
Oh
need
yeah.
to build a model that could sustain not just the headwinds of AI, but your own financial demands.
But you're spot on. But I think that coming back to what you specifically are doing with Catskill Crew, you need something that people would miss, like that people will proactively want, right? Because one of the arguments was, again, to your point, I think there's truth in it, but not totally, which is, well, what if Gmail just has a really good way of just summarizing, your inbox, which I think technically already exists, but it sucks. But like, what if they had a way where it's just like, oh, okay, here are the things you need to know today. We pulled the information from the newsletter, so you don't actually have to look at the newsletter. And that is probably a great thing for people if your newsletter is not that good. You just, there's a couple, little nuggets it may need from that, but it's not actually good enough to care to go read the actual newsletter itself. Where if you're building a brand like you are, then I don't care if you summarized in 2 sentences what's in the Catskill Crew newsletter. If I live there, I want to read the damn thing. So you're not summarizing that. You're going to put that at the top of my inbox. And I think that was kind of Matt McGarry's point.
I think again, yeah, like you're spot on, Matt's spot on with that. Like I think there's a lot of newsletters out there that I don't want to read, and I
Mm-hmm.
would happily take a summary.
That's right. Yeah.
I would love a summary for that where I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
look into it because it's also filled with ads. They are making it longer than it has to be. I try to make every word powerful, every moment special, every engagement with my subscribers, it's meaningful. And I also try to create something that is aesthetically a great experience. And so, Yeah, I mean, these AI summaries in the inbox, they're going to decimate some folks. And
Mhm.
you have to have something unique. And not everyone's going to have something unique. If you're upcycling news, that's not unique. I can get that
Mhm.
anywhere. And most people don't care.
Mhm.
But if you're having your thoughtful takes on it, like this local deep journalism newsletter that just started, like, man, this is better than any other media I've seen. And they are
Mhm.
completely free forever. They're never going to charge. And it's like,
Wow.
I'm going to read that even if AI summarizes it for me because I know it's written by locals. I know it's not written by AI. I'm connecting with with the authors of these things.
Mhm.
And I think, it's important. So coming back to kind of the start of this is like, I think both of these things are true. You need to create something meaningful. You need to ask yourself, would you open this email? Would you be a
Mhm.
subscriber? How would this make you feel?
Yeah.
And you know, you want to
To-
look in the mirror and feel confident about what you built.
Totally. And that's why I think for people who are more in a suburban, kind of boring or area like me, and you don't have as much ability to be as creative as you are, I could still do better, but probably not to the extent you do. That's where I think the local media stuff comes in, right?
I don't know. Like I think like um kind of just like thinking out loud here. I think
Yeah.
every market has their strengths and weaknesses. Like I live in the middle of the woods. What is the opportunity here? It's leaning into the history, the nature, the community. What can you do out there? Well, I'd say community first and foremost. Everyone's close by. You could be a conduit to connect people through that opportunity. You are networking with so many people. You are tying yourself and identifying your brand um, with good vibes and making friends, going back to the loneliness and
Hmm.
the loneliness pandemic or epidemic. Like we're so connected and we're so far apart. Like you have an opportunity to facilitate that. Now maybe you're an introvert and you're like, hell no,
Yeah.
I don't want to go out there. It's like, okay, well, where's that next opportunity?
Hmm.
The branding is straightforward. Anyone can have premium branding. It's just like, where is your niche? Like Connor, who does Stage Rat, who's in the newsletter club, he's doing something really cool. He's in New York City. He's focusing on Broadway and off Broadway, bringing people together around the shared passion. There's so much
Yeah.
room for finding your voice, connecting your community. And I think community for forever will be the
Yes.
magnet, the moat, all of it.
Totally. In a world of AI, community gets even more important because if you don't know what's real or not, you know when the person's standing next to you, right? So
100%. And people crave that desperately.
totally, and they're gonna crave it more because it's getting outrageous how good these AI video and voice. And by the way, have you talked to Sesame yet? Go type it. I think it's sesame.ai or whatever. Dude, oh my goodness. If you want to see why Her is here. The movie Her is here now. So in a world of Her, what do relationships look like? I mean, I don't know. But anyway,
I
we'll leave
don't
the
know. It's a scary world,
it's
brother.
very scary. It's very scary. But dude, Mike, I really appreciate it. This has been killer. I love what you're doing. You're doing so much cool stuff. I can't wait to hear about the venture stuff because that sounds super exciting and big scale, and it's great. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, find out about Newsletter Club, where do they go? What do they do?
Mikey Pesto on X, the newsletter.club, and newsletter.ventures.
There you go. Love it. Appreciate it, Mike. We'll talk later. Talk to you in the
Boom.
Discord. All right. See ya.
You got it, brother.